Hey guys, MC Mora here, and today I'm gonna talk about what is going on with Street Fighter 6 and how it doesn't make that much sense to me. So recently Capcom announced the year 4 pass for Street Fighter 6, and we already talked so much about the character selection and their strategies and everything, but one thing that did come up from that is them conducting a lot of interviews and there's a lot of talking points. And what I find to be weird is that it seems to be like there isn't that much coherence in what's being said, and I'm gonna show you. But at the same time, it doesn't seem that what you're talking about is actually what's happening on the ground, which I also find to be odd. So let's start first with the big one, the one talking about the game balance, the meta, and how Street Fighter 6 have not evolved that much. So we here have this was an interview, and I think it was the lead developers of Street Fighter 6, the directors, and they were talking about the changes to the game, shakeups, and the game adding new mechanics and such. And they said, honestly, I feel that adding any more mechanics would make the game too complex. We released it in a state where the mechanics were already quite refined, so we aren't really planning to add new systems at this stage. That said, we are conducting various experiments. Still, I wonder if there's anything we could potentially add down the line. So what you're saying is that the drive system and how that work and the general mechanics of the game are set in stone. They are pretty happy with it. They feel like it's pretty refined, and I feel like, okay, that's a direction, right? That's a direction. So the vibes I'm getting from this one is that this is the game that we wanted to make, and it is gonna stay the way it is. Now, what I find to be interesting is that you then take a look at this interview from Max and check out what Max was.
And they specifically told me that it's not like we're being unheard. It's more like this is a matter of timing. They said they can't really mention anything that's happening right now. They cannot discuss anything specifically in the moment right now. We're here to celebrate like Tifa and all these other characters. But they wanted me to echo the idea that those concerns are not falling on deaf ears. So they mentioned that the future of Street Fighter 6 and what might be happening in the future with changing certain things on it is a matter of timing more than anything. Starts to make.
So the message I'm getting from the Maximilian videos, the vibes in general are much more positive. It's like, all right, so we are gonna shake things up. It is just a matter of time. And here is where I think there might be potentially some misconceptions, because say we're talking about a game like Street Fighter 5. Right? When Street Fighter 5 launched, the game had V-Skill, the game had V-Trigger, the game had V-Reversal. And that was pretty much it, right? And as the year went on, they added another V-Skill, they added another V-Trigger. But like we're saying here, the mechanics, the systems didn't change. So I feel like what we should be asking for Street Fighter 6, I don't think they're gonna remove drive rush, remove drive impact, etc. But they need to give us new toys, right? New moves, new mechanics, new character-specific mechanics. I think one of the things that make a character like Viper so much fun is that she have new mechanics with like how she interacts with the drive system, like the extensions, the super jumps, etc. So sure, like you can add new mechanics through characters, but I also think you need to like almost like retroactively add like new tools to the base roster as well, because you need to cover everyone. So like you can add new mechanics through characters and that will be cool, but we also need to take a look back at what is in here. I would like everyone to have like a new special move, maybe like a new super, maybe you are able to select a different super. I think that would be like really cool and a big addition. I'm not sure if that would count as new mechanic, because a new mechanic is something like V-Shift, whereas that is a new mechanic, but at least give us new toys. And that is mostly what most of the iterative Street Fighter games have done. Even Street Fighter 4, you take a look at Street Fighter 4 up through Ultra, it wasn't until Ultra when they added like red focus and delay wake up that you were getting a new mechanic. But it was like another Ultra combo, which it's just a different selection. It's a new special. It's a new super that you could select, right? So I think that that would be like really, really cool. I think that's what Street Fighter 6 need more than anything. They're obviously gonna continue to refine the game, and I hope that we arrive at a point where they're adding new moves. If the entire concept, if the community is just wanting throw loops gone and drive rush adjusted, that would make the game alright. That would make it play better. But we need to have fun new stuff to do, right? I think that is what we need the most. So I am hopeful. I think Maximilian probably is much more in vibe with the general FGC audience. After all, he is probably the biggest fighting game YouTuber, so he knows, he reads the comments. So if he is saying that, and that is a message that he got from them, I'm much more hopeful from the take that Max delivered. Now, there is another bunch of interviews that happened, but this one, for me, from the Capcom president, is hilarious. This interview is full of nuggets. So let's start first with this one, where he said, during development, he requested, please avoid sexualized portrayals for new characters. Street Fighter 6 or Street Fighter doesn't need fan service and etc., right? Now they say that, and I see this. It's like, what is going on? I'm not complaining, but I find it hilarious how like the Capcom president seem not really connected. Boots are not really on the ground, and hey, maybe that's a special costume, right? But you check out the character reveal trailer, and this is for Mai, right? Oh my god, I don't know why I skipped. This is the character reveal trailer for Mai in Street Fighter 6, right? And she's probably was one of the most anticipated characters at the time. And that is the opening shot. It's like, alright, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like, if that is your idea, I just find that hilarious. And this is another one, right, where they're saying Capcom experimented with pay-per-view for Capcom Cup 12 and Street Fighter League. Sales were strong in Japan, but weaker overseas. He cited time zone differences as a major reason, and said it reinforces the importance of holding events in US-friendly time slots to grow a global viewership. So between these 2 points, I am now fully convinced that this president, which is Tsujimoto, that is so detached from reality, it's actually hilarious. Like saying that Street Fighter 6 doesn't have fan service when it clearly does, and then saying that time differences is the main reason that pay-per-view didn't do well overseas. You are so out of touch. It is actually funny. Like, that actually is kind of hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I laughed my ass off reading this because that is the point, and the point. Oh my god. Oh my god, like that's amazing. It's amazing that this is what they learn. These are the merits of meeting, all right? The minutes of meeting is that it's a time zone, right? It is a time. The time zone is the one to blame. So the final point I do want to talk about is the idea of new characters, right? Because in the interview, Matsumoto-san was talking about how the average age for the gamer have went from 35 to 45 to 15, 25, which is great. You want the newer generation to interact with the game, to like preserve the longevity of the series as well. And yeah, it's cool that the younger guys are now getting into fighting games. I think that's amazing, right? And they said that they want to add new characters to appeal to that younger audience. And here's the thing. Here's where I find this weird. Now, I have to preface, I don't mind new characters at all. I think new characters are cool. The idea of adding new characters, hopefully new mechanics, that is cool. My main gripe with the year 4 4 pass was the fact that I wanted the year 4 pass to have something for everyone. Not everyone likes new characters, so maybe a more balanced approach would have been better. The concept itself of a new character, I think that's fine, that is interesting because you get new gameplay ideas, you don't know what to expect, so that is cool, but maybe balance it out a little bit, right? That was my entire concern. But here is what I find to be really weird. So they're saying that the largest group of players are now 15 to 25, right? And that's why they're adding new characters, which, you know, that is fair enough. But you take a look at this chart, and this is what shows you like the character usage rate. Now, obviously, Alex is number 1 because he's the most new character. This was just before Ingrid came out, by the way. So Alex obviously is the first character because he's the most new. But then I'm seeing Ryu, I'm seeing Akuma, I'm seeing Ken, I'm seeing Jamie. This is the overall player base, by the way. So Jamie is like the only new character to break through the top 10 character usage. And then we're seeing Zangief, we're seeing Yuri, we're seeing Mai, we're seeing Terry, we're seeing Sagat, Cammy, Ed. So from the say here in this list, the top 12 most played characters in the game right now by the player base, we have one new character, which is Jamie. And some will say it's because the new characters are weak. Jamie is widely considered to be one of, if not the worst character in the game. And he's the one who's in the top 10. Right? You don't see Luke, you don't see Manon, you don't see Marisa, you don't see Lily, you don't see Kimberly. You don't see any of these guys. So if the average younger player, the guys that is now 15 to 25, is playing Street Fighter 6 and they are the majority of the player base, why aren't the characters that are built for them being played more? I think this just shows that this logic is faulty because I was a younger person at one point, right? I played Street Fighter when I was, I played in 2009, so I was kind of about like 18 back then, right? And I was in that demographic, and my favorite characters were Guile, was Cammy, was Chun-Li. It was still the OGs. I entered a lot of fandoms, and the characters are either cool or not. The idea of we're adding a new character for the newer generations, check out how that is working out. Right? They're not that played. People just play the characters that they think are cool, and still people think Shotos are cool. Right? And people think Yuri is cool, and that's why she's played. Zangief is the coolest grappler. He's the grappler. So most people who want to play grappler characters are going to play Zangief. He's iconic. Terry and Mai, the two guest SNK characters. What? And hey, they are in the top 10 most played. Because I saw so many saying they are wasted character slots, but hey, Terry and Mai are in the top 10. Right? So it's like... and Ed is cool as heck. Cammy, people love Cammy. So it's like people are gonna play characters that are cool. I think the idea of creating new characters for modern audiences is not that. And here is my other issue. There are times where Capcom create new characters and they give them an honest to God try, right? Like for example, Ed, right? Ed was a new character when Street Fighter 5 came out. He was popular, but people have a lot of complaints about Ed and how Ed plays and his visuals. So they brought him back for Street Fighter 6 and they made Ed incredibly cool. The controller disconnected. Oh my god, it's going crazy. They made Ed extremely cool. He was one of the coolest characters. He is one of the coolest characters in this game, right? He was completely sick. But for every Ed, you take a ton of characters that gets neglected. Like, as a Street Fighter 6 player, do you feel that Capcom is honest to God trying with Manon? Like, she had amazing popularity when the game first came out and then dropped off hard? Not really. Are they really trying with Marisa? Are they really trying with Lily? Are they really trying with Jamie? Are they really trying with Luke? Not really. Like, they're not even giving them that much attention when it comes to buffs and nerfs. Like, the only one they like is JP, right? Where they keep buffing him. And this will bring me back to this this picture. It's showing you like all of these characters who are not in Street Fighter 6 right now, right? And what I find to be interesting is that most of the characters that are not added are originals. Like, for example, Nikali, Laura, Fang, Colleen, Minat, Abigail, Zeku, G, Falk, Kage, Lucia, Akira. And even in Street Fighter 4, we have Abel, Rufus, El Fuerte, Goken, Hakan, Decabri, etc. So are we just creating new characters? And if they aren't an insta bam smashing success like Jury or Viper, we're throwing them away. Why would a new player play Manon or Marisa and they will get emotionally attached to these characters, and then the next game you are completely dropping them? I personally would like the game to introduce more quality into the new character, focus on them, right? I would prefer if Street Fighter 6 added 3 new characters, but they become Street Fighter 6 stable or Street Fighter stables going forward, than adding 11 new characters and none of them returning. Because that is what's going on. I'm not seeing Luke getting any love. I'm not seeing Jamie get any love. I'm not seeing Manon get any love. I'm not seeing Marisa get any love. I'm not seeing Lily get any love. And we're just adding new guys. And the guys that were new, that were already added, already feel ignored. This happened with the Street Fighter 5 newcomers. It happened with the Street Fighter 4 newcomers. It happened with the Street Fighter 6 newcomers. They will just add these new guys, and then the characters maybe will need some loves, you need some push, maybe some better visuals, maybe some better moves, maybe some better balancing, maybe it's a gameplay thing, but hey, if it didn't work out and it's become a smashing success instantly, we're dropping out. And that's why I find it disappointing, right? I want characters to be more refined. At least that is my opinion. Anyways, what are your thoughts? Do you think that the newer players just want new characters, or like I said, the characters are either cool, and if they're cool, they're getting play. If they're not cool, maybe they are more specialized. I don't want to make everything about popularity, because it's not all about popularity, representation, and there is other elements to it as well. But the idea that the younger guys wanna just play new characters that are made for them, I think this graph is showing us that that is not really the case. Anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts all about it in the comment section below. I'll be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter, and Twitch pages in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and stay safe.